for our fellow watchers on YouTube. Tune in. Give me 1 second. Awesome. So welcome everybody. Welcome.
You doing, Mr. Wade?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. How's your? I want to go off script for a minute. I know we got some content prepared. How did the conversation of your flip? What's the update on that? You care to share with us?
Uh, nothing I've heard. I'm just glad that I don't have any money in that one because um one of the business partners that I had on that one, he was like, "Do I really need a investor focused realtor?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you really do."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You want an investor who knows, or a realtor who knows the game of investments, but also a realtor who knows the market too. I think that's going to be even more important is a realtor who knows the market more than anything.
well, yeah, I don't. Every time I ask him about it, he doesn't really have that much information on it. So it's like I said, I'm just glad I'm not
Yeah. Just
really
have you
involved.
had any offers? Any other people walk through? Any feedback from a realtor?
I haven't heard anything on that part. No,
Nothing is no good. When you hear nothing, that's not good news.
no, it's
We're kind of
but
gonna go through. We had some content prepared, but we're gonna switch it up just because of everything going on. Have you guys heard in Canada about what Trump's trying to do? I don't know. I'm sure you got your own problems over there. So
I mean to become the 51st state, is that what you're doing?
no, 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 no. They're talking about like killing all of the Iran, pretty much just wiping Iran off the map at 8 o'clock. So in about an hour and a half. So they gave him like a strict 8 o'clock deadline Eastern Standard Time. So we're kind of
You
watching.
know,
The world is watching this right now.
on that note, I think it was last week, they jumped in the middle of Survivor. I watch Survivor every week, so guilty pleasure. But he jumped in during the middle of it, and my wife looked at me like, "Is this going to mess up our recording? Because we record it so that we don't have to watch the commercials, right?" It's like, no, everything will be fine. So I watched what he was talking about and stuff like that. And they're talking about, we can't have a nuclear and then da 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 and stuff. And I completely agree. Like nobody should have nukes. So then I kind of started thinking about it. I looked at it. The only country ever to drop a nuclear bomb is the U.S.
Hmm?
the it's nuts. Like I was watching Ukraine because they don't have the people, right? They got all these engineers working together and creating like these drones that are like carrying bombs and stuff.
Seen that.
And they're going and they're just running them into buildings and into and I'm like, man, this is gonna get out of control.
Yeah, warfare looks a lot different nowadays than big bombs and just launch a bomb somewhere and that'll be it. It's a lot different nowadays than what it was. So, but we're kind of tuned in. I'm gonna be watching the news, kind of breaking news as we do this call. Pakistan seeks 2-week pause after Trump warns whole civilization will die if no deal by deadline. Pakistan, which is the intermediary between the U.S. and Iran, asked for a 2-week delay in escalating attacks on Iran. So things are getting crazy. We got an hour and a half to figure out what's going to happen. Um, but if the people of Iran watching, we don't represent anything going on. I love the people in Iran. I love Doha. That's the closest I've ever been. Um, and hope to see it soon again. So, um, yeah, pretty crazy what's going on. We'll get into some news, some other breaking news. Seth got some other realtor stuff or real estate stuff. We kind of been watching. And today we'll kind of have like a briefer call just to kind of keep you guys up to date what's going on. If you're tuned in from YouTube, welcome, welcome. We do this each and every Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want the link, just drop a comment. We'd love to have you on as well as a guest. So
Absolutely. For anybody that doesn't know me, my name is Seth Timmerman. Been investing in real estate since 2019 or so. Actively invest in small to medium multifamily. I do quite a few fix and flips a year and run a wholesaling business out of the state of Virginia.
And Ray Glenn from Homeless to Over 100 Doors, actively doing real estate, buy and hold, long term, all types. But again, each and every Tuesday we come here, we talk current events, we talk real estate, we talk things that are actually happening. So happy to be involved, keep you folks involved, and share some of the updates that we have. So potentially you can use them in your real estate field as well. So let's go on. I want to share this. Oh, go ahead, Seth. Go ahead before we.
Views and opinions expressed in the podcast of those, the host and guests, do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any organization. Content provided is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as professional, legal, medical, or financial advice. Listeners are encouraged to conduct their own research and consult with appropriate professionals before making any decisions based on information provided in this podcast. Any reliance you place on such information is strictly at your own risk.
Yeah. Um,
I do have a small win that I want to share, and anybody else can jump in. But today is the first day that I mentioned that I run a real estate business in Virginia. Today is the first day that somebody called my company and a computer answered that call. So
good.
it was very, very powerful to see AI answering phone calls for us today.
Yeah. Congratulations. Anybody else have any small wins, big wins that I'll share with you guys. All my Airbnbs, I'm trying to get the Airbnb business for good. You guys know I wasn't a fan of it. I think I have almost all my Airbnbs switched to long-term rentals, and I'll tell you, I've never been happier. I have never been happier to get that time back. So I've never been a big fan of it. Tried it, wasn't worth the headache, and switching all now. So pretty happy. Anybody else want to share any wins or any stories before we go on? Going once.
I
Going
can.
twice.
I guess my win here the last couple of weeks has been this transition to the US, like the amount of support that I've gotten kind of across America. People are really supportive and guiding us and our team down there. So setting up another corp, having our legal structure done for our own properties, and what we thought we were going to do a year from now, 2 years from now, is condensing into months. So we are looking at some development projects that hopefully will start here very soon. There's a lot of capital that has become available to us. So for anybody that's on these calls, feel free to reach out to me, and I'd love to meet more professionals down there in the US. But it's been such an amazing transition, and I really appreciate everybody that's been helping our team out and helping us out. It's a huge one for us.
Amazing.
We appreciate you too, sir.
I'm happy to assist too if you need anything. If anything, we can help you with. If you need properties to lend on or you're looking to buy, we'd love to help you too.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Anybody else going once, twice? Sold. I'd like to. There was a ChatGPT ranks all 50 states by best place to invest, right? And I love this because it is so market driven. Number one was Texas. I don't see Texas as the best place to invest. I hate to tell everybody, but I don't see Texas as the best place to invest. As we see, Texas is going quite further now. Florida, number two. I still think Florida is a great place to invest, but finding a deal, good luck. Right? I think there's more downside as many investors have already flocked there. Again, by the time these rankings are already ranked, people have already figured it out and they're already there. I'll read you guys number 1 through 10. Number 3 was Tennessee. I can see Tennessee. They still an up and coming, but they've had a lot of growth for the past 5 years, 10 years. North Carolina, the same, last 5, 10 years. Georgia, Indiana, Ohio is number 7. Number 8, Arizona. Number 9, South Carolina. Number 10, Missouri. Pennsylvania fell to number 17. And then the bottom of the charts, they have number 40, Nebraska, number 41, Iowa, number 42, Illinois, number 43, Rhode Island, number 44, Connecticut, 45, New Jersey, 46, Hawaii. So we get into your blue states, 47, California, 48, New York, 49, Massachusetts, and 50 is West Virginia, which I was pretty startled at. We came in at 50th place, which I am totally great with. Go ahead, Wade. You can unmute yourself.
So when you guys say best places to invest, like is that more generic or is that law related
No.
or
So this is where the comments get, because this was posted on Instagram. Some real estate guy got some ChatGPT to rank it, right? And the first comment says, I truly believe there are great deals in any market, but you better know your market. And I agree. That was Kathy Fettke. I don't know if you remember her, Seth, Kathy and Rick Fettke. Kathy wrote that, and I agree 100%. They're all good markets, right? Any market could be a good market if you know exactly how you invest in and how to invest, right? And the next question was top investment from what perspective? And somebody wrote, boom, what's the criteria? Right. And so that is going to be the biggest thing with criteria. I think every market can be good, right? You got to know that area.
I was at a mastermind almost a year ago, and we got breaking news too, but it's fine. We can hold off. The We were at a mastermind meeting almost a year ago in San Diego, and there were some members there that were local to San Diego, and that was where they did their investing and stuff like that. And the point of entry for single family homes like 1.5, 1.6 million down there. But they were killing it, right? And they were doing good. They were doing good numbers and stuff like that. If you look at the return on investment and the cash return on the cash invested, West Virginia was 10 times better. But the numbers were a whole lot bigger there, right? They were still doing really, really good. They had their strategy for their market dialed in, just like Ray and I have it here, and just like everybody else that's successful in Texas, Florida, Ohio, wherever it happens to be. Like, if you have your strategy dialed in, you can make money in real estate in any market.
Yeah, I agree. So take that with a grain of salt. There is nothing to, if anybody wants to know, I saw Virginia came in like in 32, Seth. So don't just listen to that. If anybody wants to know where they came out, city, state, etc., let me know. I'll share it. But take that with a grain of salt. Every market could be good. And I don't know, West Virginia has a bad market if you look overall, but there's a niche, right? We have our niche in our area where if you look at the whole state, actually, we got a big population increase. I think we had like a 19% population increase last year or something. Was it something around that? I think just the area.
That changed from year over year, I think it was.
Yeah, I mean, so knowing your spaces,
19% more than 19% more than the previous year.
yeah, which is great. No, so that means there is some improvement. So just know your market is going to be the most important thing. We know where we're investing at. We know what people need, and we're fulfilling that need. And I think that's the most important thing. So you can invest in California if you want. There, I know investors in California are crushing it. Right? I know investors in Seattle that are crushing it. Let me see what they rank Seattle. That's a good question. Seattle was ranked. Seattle is not in the top 25. Yeah. 39. Yeah. So that's just the importance of knowing your market. You know, we listen, some people are like, man, Seattle market's hot, can't find anything, and then 39 on the investment scale. So take everything with a grain of salt. You got some breaking news for us, Seth?
Yep. Came out 6:38, so eight minutes after we started. It's less than 10 minutes old. They don't have any updates on CNBC, but the news is that he is taking the heat of advice that we mentioned earlier and holding off on 2 weeks. So to be determined on that one. But that kind of leans into that first story that you were bringing up on the news and stuff like that. How this war has kind of been affecting what real estate agents and the retail market seeing, and ultimately what we're going to see as investors as well. I had a conversation about this today with a seller. He had a house that absolutely was worthy of being listed on the market. It was his third house, right? So he had multiple residences and things like that. So it wasn't like he needed to do anything. Obviously, there wasn't a financial hardship. There wasn't a timeline need. There wasn't a condition need. Um, when we talked about motivation, his motivation was it's a pretty desirable neighborhood and there aren't any houses for sale in this neighborhood right now. So he's looking for top of market stuff and things like that. And one of the conversations that I had with the guy was about the fact that 60 days ago that might have been an amazing opportunity to jump on, right? Because interest rates were just going back down below 6%, and more buyers were kind of entering the market, and it's different now, right? And that's what this wants to say.
Yeah. And I had shared some data. I don't think it got transposed, but we kind of saw where I know we're gonna get into this. A lot of people pulled out of the market because of rates where they were. We had like negative growing rates. But after this happened, we had a steady increase. I mean, rates went up almost a point. We went from 5.99. I'm not sure where they at now, but from 5.99 to seeing 6.43, they got up to 6.6, which is enough to make people change their mind. So it changes the monthly payment. So those are things that, if you qualify for something, they're basing it off the interest rates locked in, etc. This is a good statistic too. What are most buyers concerned about right now? You see a slight uptick, a little bit more people concerned about the economy. More people are concerned about the mortgage rates, though. Right? To go from that sharp of a raise in 30 days, if that. Right, it's pretty stifling. Some people are concerned about inventory, but not much change over year. I think spring market usually have a lot of more inventory coming to market, so I don't think that. If anything, I think that number will go down. Pricing actually came down. People really aren't concerned about the price because I think pricing has adjusted to what it's going to be. I think we have permanent pricing. What you see now is almost permanent pricing, unless you have a huge supply shock where a bunch of houses come on, but I think the pricing is what it is intended to be. I think the next thing is going to be interest rates, right? Interest rates is the X factor in this equation.
It goes to show you that we're a payment-based society, right? Like that's, I know I've said it multiple times on this call over the time that we've been doing it, right? But the big change in Q1 was the interest rate bump in the month of March, right? And it shows right there, like people were more worried in November and December about prices and things like that. Now they care less what the price of the house is. They care about what that payment is, right? They were looking at the market because they saw interest rates coming down. They heard on all the mainstream medias that interest rates are going to come down. All the gurus were saying interest rates are coming down. Interest rates are coming down. A large event happened. Inflationary stuff happened.
Yeah.
The market's adjusting to that large event. Interest rates are going back up as a reaction. And now that's what people are concerned about. People aren't concerned about the price of the house. They're concerned about can they afford it every month.
So I think that'll be the next issue that we'll see for now is interest rates. What will they be? This is another good statistic. How has housing affordability impacted buyer behavior the past quarter? Some compromise and just kind of stepped in and said, "Hey, I'll pay it," and just adjusted to it. Some have delayed their purchase and just said, "Hey, I'll wait till the rates come down." Now, some people can't delay if you're moving, etc. You can't really delay. It just is what it is. Like we'll just have to accept what we have, and then exited the market. We see a lot more people exit the market, and I don't know if that's just an exit or if that's an exit and delay. I don't know how they actually measure that as a tool, but it could be a mixture of both.
I think that's probably the biggest thing is the days on market. And that's where, I mean, I've had it in my wholesale business. I've had it here in West Virginia with conversations that we've had on leads that we've had. I've had more conversations in the last 45 days actually closer to like 2 or 3 weeks. I've had more conversations with buyers that have their homes listed and are kind of hitting the panic button, right? Somebody here locally in West Virginia reached out to us. He had two houses listed at the same time. I think I told the story. I think it was on a Wednesday call. Um, a buyer backed out 2 days before closing, right? Now he's sitting there on the market. He's not getting any showings and things like that. Well, I mean, the price of the house, even if you dropped your price $5,000, the actual price of the house went up,
Yeah.
right? If interest rates changed by 0.6%, I promise you, the price of your house went up. Whether your listed price went up or down, doesn't matter.
So these rates are actually pretty, they're not a good thing at all. Will they stay up? Will they continue to go up? They might. They might. There's some damage done. Trump suspends Iran attack for 2 weeks, subject to the Hormuz Strait opening. So if it opens, we'll see some relief, right? It won't come all the way down. A lot of the damage is done already, right? Especially with the supply shocks. Um, we'll have to see what happens. And this again, breaking news as we go through to tonight's call. So, Seth, you want to watch that video real quick?
The video here, yeah.
You had that video.
Make sure that you guys can do. It's going to be in. Give me 30 seconds.
And I'm looking at that comment, affordability is not improving as much as most experts have forecasted, which means buyer demand is dropping and homes are sitting on the market longer.
It was improving, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Affordability is not improving as most experts. Buyer demand is dropping. As homes sit on the market longer, you start to get more affordability because people start to drop price. The house becomes a little bit more affordable. So it's a little bit confusing language that they use there.
The all-important spring housing market is well underway, but the war with Iran and its impact on the U.S. economy have thrown a massive wrench in buyer demand. Mortgage rates are much higher than expected, and concerns over employment and inflation are front and center. Those concerns were already heating at the end of last year, but the war turned up the gas. Buyers are more concerned about the economy and mortgage rates than they are about home prices. That, according to real estate agents responding to the quarterly CNBC Housing Market Survey. Just 9% of agents said their buyers were most concerned about home prices, a sharp drop-off from the previous quarter's 18%. This, even as nearly twice as many agents reported home prices rising in Q1 versus Q4.
We do have a strong market.
Even though mortgage rates during the quarter jumped sharply from a low of 5.99% on the 30-year fixed the day before the war started to now around 6.6%.
They're fearful of the war. They're fearful of gas prices, their job security, with all this news lately about AI and AI taking over work, that kind of thing.
Affordability is playing heavily into why more buyers are leaving the market. 19% of agents reported that, compared with just 11% at the end of last year. More than half of agents also reported at least one contract cancellation.
You're just seeing buyers that were on the fence and deciding to buy are now on the fence and going the other direction, saying, I'm not going to buy.
As buyer demand drops, homes are sitting on the market longer. 31% of agents reported that their listings were on the market for more than 6 weeks, compared with 26% in Q4 of last year.
We just had one recently where they wanted what they wanted and they wouldn't come down to a price that the market could bear. And so in the end, they just pulled it off the market.
Can we pause it? Will it restart or if we pause it? All right. So Carissa put all people care about is the payment amount. Definitely 0.5% changes makes it different. So, yeah. So the other thing too is the qualification amount, right? Because when you pre-qualify, you qualify for your house. They're qualifying you. Let's just say you qualify for a $300,000 house. You can afford $300,000 at $599, but if you find a house that's 300 exactly, and the rates go up to 654, then you really don't qualify. You qualify for 490, right? Or 290, so the numbers kind of change. You could be in the middle of the deal, interest rates could change, and you be out of the deal. So the rates changing changes the monthly payment, which could disqualify you from qualifying. And then Joseph put very ignorant, obvious question. So war has officially been declared on Iran as a win. Technically, from their standpoint, it's not a war. From what we've heard, there is no war being declared. They're at a standstill as of right now, trying to negotiate. But the rhetoric that came out from the president was that if by 8 o'clock they didn't come to some agreement, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, there was no agreement, he was going to wipe the civilization of Iran off. So pretty dangerous rhetoric, pretty scary stuff. So that's kind of why we're locked in. We're talking breaking news, so we can also keep you guys updated on what is happening as we go through this over the next few minutes. So, but what they're saying in this article, I somewhat agree with, and these are points that we've highlighted. AI are taking jobs, right? So when you look at the number of people selling, that creates more inventory, right? Foreclosures are up. What does that do? Creates more inventory, loosens up the market a little bit. I don't know if that's going to be like the canary that opens the market fully or the black swan event. However, it will loosen the market as far as real estate, which will drop prices down too. People are motivated to sell, right? Some people are upside down and they don't have that equity, but I mean, motivation is motivation. So some people are motivated. A lot of people are motivated to sell who are selling right now.
I think that it's also important that the message gets out that AI is going to change jobs. It's not necessarily going to get rid of jobs and things like that, right? Like in my company today, in the wins, I said like we had a computer answer the telephone for the first time today, right? Well, we have an answering service that makes sure that there's somebody to answer the phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We pay that service to have humans answer the phone. Well, that service, as of today, is fired. So those people lost a client, not necessarily a job, but they lost a client, and they're going to continue to lose clients with AI and things like that. But it also generates more need in my business to handle lead flow and lead generation and things like that. So it actually creates human jobs as well. So
yeah, it'll create some. You'll lose some.
yeah,
It'll definitely create some, and then it'll be a shift.
It'll create a different skill set, right?
Yeah. So just keep an eye on that. Let's continue on.
We've had 2 decent offers, and he just refuses to take anything less than his full asking price.
Sellers are now more worried about that wait time. Nearly half of agents at the end of last year said prices were their sellers' top concern. Despite that, fewer agents reported price cuts, but that may be
full disclosure. Just for a time period, they're worried about that 6-week mark. That's 45 days on market. During COVID, during the peak of when things had 50 million offers and going $50,000 over asking with no contingencies and things like that, the average days on market got all the way down to 2 or 3 days in a lot of markets, right? So that's where the change is coming from. And again, 30 to 45 days was the norm prior to COVID.
I mean, you're
What we're
looking
seeing-
at 5 to 60 days as a normal in markets,
Right. Exactly. In a lot of markets, 60 days was absolutely the norm. Like here in West Virginia, I know of. And like, so they're reacting to the change again, coming out of what was not a realistic market. Now you have another factor on top of that, right? So that's the reactionary stuff.
Yeah, and even this clip right here, share agent clients who cut their home price, right? We see people cutting their home prices a little bit, right? But not as much. So it's something to watch out. I think prices have kind of come down from what they were COVID, and people are coming to reality.
Yeah, they're realizing that they're not going, that we need to price it right to begin with. or even below market and create a bidding war instead of fear of missing out on those a lot of people, well, everything's selling for $20,000 over asking. I'm just going to ask $20,000 more, right? Right? And that's why you saw 89-90% of homes having price cuts, because people are not offering 20,000 over price anymore.
Yeah.
Seasonal. And again, mortgage rates dropped below 6% in the middle of the first quarter, giving buyers more purchasing power. That may also be why fewer agents had to delist homes compared with the fourth quarter, when agents reported a slower than usual fall market with more frustrated sellers. Even as concerns over the economy and interest rates rise, agents in the first quarter still said the market was either
Everybody has
a
to
buyer's
remember
market
that
or
the
buyer's.
real estate market is specific to your market. There's a market where people are buying them stuff left and right. This chart is favored the other way heavily. So just be sure that you know your market. And it's also based on price conditions as well, right? So if you have a home that's priced 200, 300,000, your market price is 300, 400,000, that 200 to 300 won't last on market if you don't have inventory. So these are all caveats. When you look at charts like these, kind of look at them with skew and know your own market, which is going to be more important.
Or know that if you're in one of those markets where this is true, right? And in Q1, it's a lot less favorable for sellers than it was in Q4. That's a motivation, right? So when we talk about off-market opportunities, that is one of the four pillars, motivation, right? So don't discount those properties. Like right now, absolutely. They're like I said, I've had more conversations with people that have properties on the market right now. Don't discount those on market properties in a market like this that's so turbulent, with buyers being very wishy-washy. There are opportunities to make deals happen in this market.
And speaking of deals, we just got one that's on the market, right? That was on the market where you have to make your offer, right? Make your disrespectful offer.
We did make it disrespectful.
Make a disrespectful offer, but make sure it makes sense to you, right? And if you never know, you could do 50 of these, right? You could do 50 offers. One will get accepted. Somebody has that motivation. Somebody has 50 days on market, 60 days, and they thought it was going to be 10. Somebody has 100 days and they thought it was going to be 20. You know, there will be some motivation. There's ways to do it on terms. People get motivated more and more each and every day. So understand that.
Yep.
That buyer's market share, though, did drop, which may be indicative of the new buyer headwinds, higher mortgage rates, and a weaker job market. And sellers are taking note.
We've had two sellers who were planning on listing in May already decide, let's hold, let's search later in the summer for our next home to buy, and then we'll try and list in the fall. So they originally thought that the spring would be perfect for them because it just felt like it was going to be the best time. And now they don't feel as confident and they want to wait and see.
Just over half of agents said they do expect the market to improve, but that share is way down from the end of last year when there was no war in the picture. More expected to stay the same as last quarter, which is significant given that it's going from the historically slowest season for housing to the usually busiest.
Cool. So just some few talking points for you guys. We got some other stuff we want to share too.
Yeah. This was a big talk about one of the things that Trump was talking about, limiting or having the large investors kind of sell off and things like that. So this is coming from the National Real Estate Investors Association with their data that they provide. This is coming from Housing Wire. And it just kind of shows the percentage of purchases that were by investors. And then what the size of that investor was, and over 50%, probably still close to 40% now.
So I just want to key something in too, guys. If you have over 10 doors, you are not a small investor. right?
Right.
You figured out a system. You were considered small investors, your mom and pop, your neighbor next door who owns one off. If you have 10 to 99 doors, you are considered a medium investor. Okay. You are somebody who operates this as a business, right? Not a hobby, but it's operating as a business. Um, so don't take light of that. Like kudos to you if you are that person. And then large investors. And you see most of it's coming from media investors, people that want, that 10 to 99, that sweet spot. Most of the buying is coming from that crowd, right? And then you have your large investors, which has just been consistent. They're at the large investment, 100 to 349. Most of those people are kind of comfortable. We figured something out and we're just kind of just rolling with the punches at this point. And I'd say the same thing with the institutional investors. COVID, they figured something out like, hey, we can make a killing, right? And then they got back into their zone of like, all right, maybe we can't make a killing. Let's just keep doing what we're doing and let the money work for us. So not
Okay.
much has really changed. I think COVID, everybody kind of peaked up and bought more, but right now I think there's a great rebalance and it has been. You can see from 2021, 22, 23, it's all just kind of rebalance, come down slowly, come down a little bit, where you have some small investors that are picking up a little bit more.
This was Zillow and Open Door.
Yeah, they kind of opened it into.
Right.
And for you folks that don't know, even private capital too. So what private capital did, and it's pretty cool. I mean, it was genius if you were in the early stages, is they would buy a row of townhouses, right? Or a new development. And houses in the area might sell for 500,000. But what they would do is they would do a cash sell to a shell company for 750,000. Now, why would they do that? Well, that 750,000 for that new build gives you a new comp. So when they go to sell the other ones, they're selling them at 750,000. They're squeezing each one out for more than what they should be because they have that one comp. And so that was the game. That was really the 2021 game when the market was hot, people were having money, and then it kind of dried up. It's still a game that they play, but it kind of dried up to that. So they're kind of easing out, and you can see it's kind of slowed down, got back to about same turn, maybe about 2016 times. They might find a way to sneak back in there eventually, but right now, we've been hearing rhetoric about all these institutional investors buying stuff up. They're not really, I don't know if they're really buying a ton of single family homes, right? Most of the institutional investors are buying apartment buildings. They're doing syndications. They're buying 350, they're buying 500 units, 1,000 units at a time. They are not interested in the 100 unit. They won't even look at 100 units. They won't look at a 50 unit portfolio, right? They're looking at big numbers. So take that with a grain of salt when you hear, oh, institutions are buying up everything. Not really.
2021, 2022, there was in the in the wholesale space, the idea is cut your buyers list down to 5% of what it is and just fill it up with hedge fund buyers. Hedge fund buyers, hedge fund buyers. I haven't heard anything about hedge fund buyers in the last 3 years.
Yeah, they're out the game. They're still buying, but they're just not buying everything. All right. All right. You had some news about Fannie and Freddie?
Yep. So they're taking off some of their homeowners insurance requirements for certain types of homes and different things like that. It has a lot to do with condos. In 2024, there was a really complicated rule about shared roofs and just all kinds of insurance BS more than anything else. But they're going away from that, so they're kind of feeling the pressure of trying to make things more affordable and things like that. Let's not complicate it. This kind of goes into that over regulation. So this is a sign of regulation being lessened by the powers that be. So that's a positive thing for sure.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I mean, anything that eases the way for people to buy a home, I think totally helps out. So, and then national rent growth. This is a big one. it looks like it's starting to go back just a little bit. We're starting to see just a little bit more demand. Um, Now, of course, there's some fluctuation. October, November, December, usually you'll see a rent drop anyway. People are trying to fill spaces last minute. So again, skewed a little bit, I think. But you're starting to see a little bit of uptick where we saw huge downflow, right? Huge downflow from, average 4%. We went to negative, and we predicted that a lot of rents would probably go negative. We saw so much greater increase. The market's kind of leveling out. I don't know how long negative will support though, right? And that's the issue that I'm going to see is that negative supports, depending on what market you're in. If you had higher growth and you bought assets based on higher growth, you can't really go much further negative, right? Um, so then you start to worry about capital expenditures that sneak up, etc. So this is something to be on the lookout for, but it is a positive sign for what is happening in the future of real estate and as a rental. Clarissa put that's great with Fannie Freddie. Condos are a common entry point to home ownership for many people. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of buying condos, but it is super affordable until you get hit with a special assessment or something like that. Hopefully, that never happens to anybody, but super affordable way for people to get in. I know certain places you could buy condos for 100,000, 125,000. You start thinking about if you got to put 5% down, you can get into a place for 5 G's, 10,000 in a great area, so you can go to Miami. I don't know what a condo in Miami costs, but it probably 150, 200. If you're not in Brickell, it might be, 4 or 500 if you're in the right area. But a great price point to get in um, is to a condo. And then you also do have that HOA, which could be a benefit because sometimes your HOA fees, condo association fees, they'll pay for your utilities and that type of cost. All that stuff, maintenance is all kind of bundled in. So I've seen that happen, which is pretty cool. So, um, but and having condos in a neighborhood, actually, I'm a big proponent of, especially like in a high density neighborhood, because there's a sense of ownership, right? Versus just regular renters. With a condo, there's a sense of ownership. I'm paying my mortgage, but it's also going to something that is going to be mine. So, I do appreciate a good condo. I wish we had more of them. I've never been in the condo business, but something I'd like to learn more about eventually.
Yeah, if I had the choice to invest in single families or small multifamilies that were next to large apartment buildings or large condominiums, I'm gonna invest next to large condominiums because the class of tenant is more ownership based, right?
Hmm. Yeah. So, and then whenever we invest, we want to be next to ownership. We want to be next to people who have ownership basis because that's usually where we see the most appreciation, right? In that type of community versus the rental community. She said mine paid for internet, all exterior maintenance, didn't have to worry about neighbors not mowing their grass, which is great, right? All exterior maintenance and cleaning, chimney cleaning, so reduce fire risk, great. All keep your insurance down. And I like the sense of community too, being a kind of get to know your neighbor, etc. If you don't like your neighbor, that's tough luck because you're kind of stuck with them now. But to each his own. So
That's the New York and you still liking your neighbors.
yeah. So, but I mean, if you don't, you don't. If you do, you do. Better luck. Um,
Just to point out on this graph too, like zero, this is like stagnant rent, no change in rent. This is 0% right here, the center line. So March of last year, we were seeing like a 2 bedroom, we were seeing 3% growth year over year. Whereas March of this year, we were seeing 1% decline year over year.
mhm.
So it's year over year numbers. It's a lot of different factors. When you look at these graphs and stuff like that, you got to understand what it's showing you because you can make the exact same numbers, make the graph look completely different too.
Mhm. So, um, just some news for you. Any other breaking news? CNBC, real quick, sis. Seth, hit it real quick. See if we got any. We can refresh it. See if we got any breaking news before we wrap this up. I have to go to the home page. Hit the logo. See if we got anything else. Trump suspends Iran attack for 2 weeks. Okay. So subject to the Strait opening. If the Strait doesn't open, we'll see what happens. U.S. oil prices plunge 14% to below $100 after Trump agrees to 2 week ceasefire. Here's the key. I guarantee you do not see your gas prices go down. That is inflation for everybody. Inflation is very sticky. I saw $4.19 a gallon. I guarantee you saw gas prices plummeted, right? 14%. That gas price will not come down 14%. I would be shocked.
What's crazy is that on March 1st, the gas that was in the tanks at the gas station was the same gas that was in the tanks on February 28th, right? And March 15th, it was probably still the same gas in the tanks, right? But the prices changed. And it was all because futures and the price of oil. And this is like, we got to raise it, we got to raise it, we got to raise it. Now the price is going down. Hey, when we buy oil, maybe we'll drop the prices in the,
We never know. We don't know.
Right. So
Yeah,
it comes down to the gas stations too, right? Like the gas companies and stuff like that, and what they're doing as well. So
Josie said I saw gas at $3.99 and got excited and filled up. Yeah, that's crazy to think about, man.
I remember less than a week ago looking at it in PA, and it was $3.99, and it was still $3.69 here in Morgantown, and I was like, "You're crazy! Give me $4 so that I can get home."
Yeah.
To save that 20 cents.
And now it's $4.20 now. So let's keep an eye on it, everybody. Let's see if they change the price over this next week. We'll see. I doubt it, but I love to keep in tune. We'll keep watching this. If we got any other breaking news, we'll make sure to follow up with you folks. And if you guys have any other questions, be sure to send us a DM message.